I watched 50, same shit. 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys.
There was nothing bigger than 50.
Nothing bigger, and nobody came out the gate like that. My first album didn't do it. I never saw someone's first album and the wave happen like he had.
Welcome to New Viral Drama, where Hollywood's dirtiest secrets ain't safe and the fakery gets exposed front and center, raw, loud, and unfiltered. The event was supposed to be just another flashy night, a tribute to hip-hop's legacy with choreographed praise, safe performances, and the same tired industry speeches. But the second Eminem and 50 Cent stepped onto that stage, the whole vibe shifted. No smiles, no greetings, no gimmicks. These two weren't there to dance for the cameras. They came to blow it all up. Eminem marched right up to the mic, gripping a folded sheet like it was a loaded weapon. His face? Ice cold. No promo energy, no sentimental throwbacks. He looked like a man with a mission, and it wasn't pretty. This wasn't for clout. This was war, and he was going live with the first punch. Right behind him, 50 Cent stood like backup muscle, arms crossed, eyes locked on the crowd, scanning like security. He didn't say a word, but his look screamed, "Y'all not ready for this." He let M take the heat, but you could feel he was about to double down. Then bam! M slapped the paper against the mic stand, bold, slow, and loud enough for every camera lens to catch it. You could hear a pin drop. "This right here," he said, his voice slicing through the whispers like a knife, "is a list of every artist who should have won, and every name that stole their shine." The crowd froze. 50 finally let out a sharp laugh, shaking his head like he'd been holding it in for years. "Man, this game been rigged. Y'all just now catching on?" Murmurs exploded. Whispers turned into gasps. Some folks in the crowd already knew. But hearing it said out loud, on live TV, that's a whole different game. Some folks in that room were not ready. The host, sitting awkwardly at the side of the stage, looked like he'd just seen a ghost. This was supposed to be a neat, polished, safe event. The kind where industry insiders pat each other on the back and pretend everything's perfect. But this?
So they don't give you the trophies. I got the checks. I didn't get the trophies. Jay got all the trophies, man, because he signed that contract.
What contract?
The one with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. He started getting Grammys left and right, man.
The kids even have Grammys. Like they don't sing yet. They don't sing. Right. They don't rap yet.
He had one. He ain't show up. He only has like 20 now.
This was a live ambush, and Eminem wasn't pulling punches. He raised that paper again, scanning the list like he was reading names off a tombstone. His tone cut deep. "They want to talk about hip-hop's legacy? Cool. Let's talk about how they buried it for decades." The crowd? Stone silent, every single person frozen in place. Then 50 Cent stepped forward, slow and deliberate, like he'd been waiting years for this moment. "Y'all ever notice how the same faces keep winning? Again and again," he said. "And the real ones? The ones who built this? They never get a damn thing. We don't disappear. They just act like we don't exist." Backstage, panic set in. Producers were scrambling, whispering into headsets, trying to fix the train wreck unfolding live. But there was no fixing this. The teleprompter was blank. The narrative had been hijacked, and the truth was crashing through like a wrecking ball. The lights stayed bright, but the whole room felt cold. No claps, no jokes, just tension thick enough to choke on. Something had shifted. This wasn't just a stunt. It was a reckoning. Eminem slowly tilted the list toward the camera again. He didn't have to say a word. The missing names screamed louder than anything. Iconic legends, erased from Grammy history like they never existed. Then he dropped the line that sealed it. "They've been doing this for decades." Eminem's voice didn't shake. It didn't rise. It was low, calm, the type of quiet fury that comes from years of biting your tongue. The kind that simmers until it finds the perfect moment to erupt. And that moment was right now. "They lied to us," he said, eyes locked on the crowd. "They use us when it's convenient, put us on magazine covers, sell out our tours, let us perform at their shows. But when it's time to show real respect, when it's time to hand out awards that actually mean something." He stopped, looked over at 50 Cent, who gave him a slight nod, then turned back to the stunned crowd. "They pretend we don't exist." The audience stirred. Some leaned in like they were catching a secret. Others glanced around, unsure if they should clap, react, or just stay quiet. Because deep down, they all knew he was right. But no one had ever put it this bluntly before. Then Eminem took a slow breath and dropped the hammer. DMX had the biggest rap albums in the country. Not once, twice. He paused, let it sit. You know how many Grammys he got for that? His voice didn't even waver. 0. 50 Cent let out a dry laugh and shook his head. Say that again, man, for the folks in the back. M didn't even flinch. DMX, biggest albums, 2 years in a row, not one Grammy, not even a single Album of the Year nomination. Gasps, murmurs. People in the audience were shifting in their seats, some shocked, some ashamed. Whether they knew it or not before, they couldn't ignore it now. Then came the next hits. Nas, one of the greatest lyricists alive, almost 30 years in the game before he got a Grammy. He flipped the page. Snoop Dogg? 0. Tupac? 0. A sharp inhale swept across the room. That was it. No more guessing. No more sugarcoating. So don't sit there and tell me this game ain't rigged, M said, his voice cold as steel.
Never again will I go to the Grammys. For whatever reason, it's like they're always pitching this hint that you might win.
And the Grammy goes to,
as selected by the 13,000 voting members of the Recording Academy.
First of all, that vote is fake as That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to.
Cowboy Carter, Beyonce.
50 Cent stepped up, slow and solid, scanning the faces in the crowd like he was calling each one out. His voice came smooth but sharp, the kind that slices deeper with every word. See, the real issue, he said. They act like they respect us, smile in our face, let us headline their shows, let us shut down arenas, carry the whole night on our backs. But the second those trophies come out, he smirked. They already got someone else lined up. Eminem gave a silent nod. No need to add a word. Everyone knew the truth was still unraveling. Across the stage, the host sat stiff as a statue, eyes wide like he was wishing the floor would swallow him whole. He had no control now. This wasn't his show anymore. Eminem stepped closer to the mic, voice firm and real. This ain't about me. Never was, he said. It's about everyone they've done this to before us, and the ones still getting played right now. Silence. A heavy kind. The kind that hangs in the air when people know they're hearing something real for the first time. Then 50 adjusted the mic again. You could tell something personal was coming. He let out a low laugh, but there was no humor behind it, just pain dressed as memory. Y'all remember 2004? He asked. A few heads nodded. Quiet murmurs rippled through the room. Everyone who knew what was coming. Yeah, he said, shaking his head. That's when I lost Best New Artist to Evanescence. Boom. The tension spiked. Faces tightened. It wasn't just about a loss. It was what that moment represented. He continued, steady and cold. That year, I had one of the biggest debut albums in music history. Get Rich or Die Tryin' shifted the entire culture, changed hip-hop forever, a whole movement. He paused, eyes locking on the crowd. But when it came time to honor that, they gave it to a rock band. His face hardened. That's when I knew. This whole thing? Straight rigged. Eminem stood back, arms crossed tight, giving 50 the stage. This part was personal, and everyone could feel it. 50 locked eyes with the crowd, his voice low but heated. Look, I ain't got no beef with Evanescence, but let's be real here. You ever seen a new artist blow up like I did that year? I went multi-platinum out the gate. My singles were everywhere. You couldn't flip a channel without seeing my videos. But somehow, some way, they made sure I didn't walk away with that award.
They give it to their darlings. This got critical acclaim, but it sold 2 records.
You dragged the Grammys in the mud. Feel like you had to sell your soul to get them.
Don't ever ask me to come here again. Please do not ask me. My answer is no for 100 million years.
He glanced back at Eminem. Sound familiar? M cracked a slight grin and nodded. Every damn year. The audience was still dead quiet. Some folks slowly started nodding. Others kept their eyes on the floor, especially the artists in the back who knew exactly what they were hearing. And that was just the setup. 50 leaned in, ready to drop the next bomb. You know what really showed me how fake this whole thing is? He asked. Same album, the one that ran the charts, owned radio, changed the sound out here. He paused. Lost Best Rap Album. To Speakerbox, The Love Below. Gasps. A few shocked whispers. He held his ground. Look, I got mad respect for Outkast, no doubt. But let's stop lying. Y'all really think that album hit harder than mine that year? Nobody moved. No one dared answer. The question hung in the air like smoke. Then Eminem stepped forward, mic in hand. See, that's what they do when hip-hop takes over. When it dominates, they don't clap, they change the rules. 50 nodded, tight and cold. Exactly. They let us sell out shows, break records, run the whole game. He stared down the lens. But when it's time to hand out credit, they look the other way. He gripped the mic tighter. And the craziest part, he said, shaking his head, it ain't just us. This still happens. Right now. The crowd didn't know what to do. Some were nodding slowly, others looked stunned like they were watching something they weren't supposed to see. But one thing was clear. This moment wasn't fading. It was escalating. Eminem flipped the paper in his hand, calm but deliberate. The front had already blown minds. A list of the biggest Grammy snubs ever. Legends robbed of their rightful shine. But the back? That's where things really got messy. He held it up to the camera, no hesitation. And this, he said, his voice sharp, is the other side. The names of the people who always win. You could feel the shift in the room. Some folks sank back in their chairs, others leaned in. Not because they wanted to, but because they had to hear what was next.
I'm just tired of seeing it. And for whatever reason, it's like they're always hint that you might win Album of the Year, which used to be a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal now. I sat at home this year for the Grammys and watched Jay and Kendrick not get it. And I felt like one of them should have got it. I felt like Joyner Lucas should have won a Grammy for I'm Not Racist. I would be up for Album of the Year, and then
Eminem's tone turned icy. This ain't just about talent. It's about power, about who the industry chooses, who they allow to win. Then 50 jumped in, loud and blunt. And if you don't play by their rules, you get nothing, M snapped, without missing a beat. The host, who had completely lost control by now, awkwardly tried to salvage the moment. But the Grammys have honored hip-hop, haven't they? I mean, look at... No, Eminem cut him off, dead serious, shaking his head. They haven't. He pointed straight at the back of the page, holding it up again. They hand out the same trophies to the same names, over and over again, just enough so they can say, see, we support hip-hop. 50 let out a cold smirk. Yeah, and what happens when someone comes through that don't play nice? He leaned forward. They blacklist them, bury them, pretend they never existed.
the winner is Norah Jones.
Goes to Norah Jones.
Who? I'm not even trying to say anything bad about her music. I just, at that point, I had never heard of her.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. And then Steely Dan.
Two Against Nature, Steely Dan.
Okay, I know who Steely Dan is, but more than the Marshall Mathers LP impact? Like, okay, fine. I watched 50, same
The best new artist is Evanescence.
You got the largest debut hip-hop album, and you don't got no best new artist. They gave that to Urban Essence. Can you find Urban Essence? I ain't seen Urban Essence since that night.
And at that point, even the silence sounded guilty. Eminem didn't flinch. His voice dropped lower, colder. You don't fit the image they want, he said, flipping the paper back to the front. The snub list. They bury you. And just like that, the whole room went dead silent. No breathing, no movement. This wasn't a rant anymore. It was an autopsy of the whole damn system, with the truth laid out line by line. They let a few through, M continued, just enough to make it look fair. They hand out a couple awards to keep the noise down. He looked straight into the camera. But if you're not what they want, if you don't smile the right way, act the right way, play the game. 50 let out a dry, bitter laugh. Then you're done, period. A few folks in the crowd shifted. Artists locked eyes with each other. That part hit too close for some of them. Then 50 shook his head and gave a louder laugh, the kind that hides anger. And don't even get me started, he said, on who they do give Grammys to, while real hip-hop legends get nothing. M smirked like he already knew the answer. Oh, we getting to that, he said. And just like that, the whole energy shifted again. This wasn't just some speech anymore. This was war. Eminem paused, letting the tension breathe. The air was thick now, the kind of thick that makes people squirm in their seats. Whispers spread like wildfire. Then he raised the paper again, calm, ruthless. Some people, he said slowly, figured out how to play the game. 50 stepped forward, smiling like he knew he was about to break the internet. "Oh yeah," he said. "Some people cracked the whole damn code." The crowd tensed. Everyone knew what was coming. Eminem inhaled deep, then hit the line hard. "Look at Jay-Z." Gasps. No one moved. No one spoke. Then he dropped the next name. "Look at Beyonce." Whispers exploded. That wasn't shade. That was a direct shot. 50 Cent leaned in, eyes locked on the crowd. But the message? It was aimed straight at the throne. "Jay, come on, man. You know what I'm saying is real," he said. "You figured out how to play their game, and they rewarded you for it." Eminem nodded beside him, calm but cutting. "And I get it. You do what you gotta do. But let's not pretend. You really think they would have let someone like DMX or Nas win again and again like that?" The silence in the room was suffocating. Not a whisper, not a cough, just that thick, awkward tension you can feel in your chest. Then 50 delivered the gut punch. Y'all ever stop and think how Blue Ivy got a Grammy before some of the biggest hip-hop artists ever? Boom. Dead silence. That wasn't just a line. That was a shot straight to the system. Eminem didn't flinch. He calmly folded the paper and placed it down on the podium, like he was closing a case. "That's the game," he said. "That's how it's always worked. And everybody in this room knows it." Behind the scenes, reports later claimed Jay-Z and Beyonce were visibly stunned when they heard that line. But in the moment, no reaction was needed. The energy said it all. 50 looked around, eyes scanning the crowd like a warning shot.
I watched 50. 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys. Nobody since maybe like Snoop came out the gate like that.
50 Cent didn't win any Grammy. You all robbed 50 Cent of his Grammy. He was the most important thing. He was the soundtrack to our life.
I don't have the accolades that connect to the performance of my music. I don't have the trophies that match how big the actual records are. The one Grammy I have is for Crack a Bottle. I couldn't even have that without him.
And the Best New Artist is Evanescence.
You got the largest debut hip-hop album, you don't got no best new artist. They gave that to Urban Essence. I ain't seen the Urban Essence since that night.
"Some of y'all are gonna act like you didn't hear a thing tonight," he said. "But after this, ain't no more pretending. We all know now." And just like that, the music industry shifted. For a few long, loaded seconds, no applause, no commentary, just silence, deep and raw. The audience froze. The cameras kept rolling. The network had no idea what to do. What had just been said was too real, too bold, too far gone to rewind. Eminem leaned slightly on the podium, eyes scanning the room, steady and unshaken. They hadn't just called out the Grammys. They'd exposed the entire machine, live, and there was no going back. Eminem exhaled, slow and steady. The mission was complete. He had said what needed to be said. No fluff, no sugarcoat. But just before stepping back from the mic, he dropped one last line, cold and final. "We don't need your trophies. We made history without you." Then he shoved the paper aside, letting it fall onto the podium like it was worthless, like a contract they never signed. 50 Cent stepped forward, a smirk crawling across his face. He glanced around the room, at the crowd, the cameras, and the industry folks who couldn't even meet his eyes. "And Jay," he said, voice sharp but calm, "I ain't mad at you, but I ain't playing this game." And just like that, the two walked off the stage. No encore, no fake smiles, just silence chasing their footsteps. Within minutes, the footage exploded online. Social media went into overdrive. Fans split right down the middle, some calling Eminem and 50 Cent the realest to ever touch a mic, saying they finally said out loud what artists had whispered in private for decades. But others weren't so sure. Some claimed they crossed a line, dragging Jay-Z and Beyonce, risky, bold, maybe even reckless. The debate was on fire. The Grammys rushed to respond, releasing a statement within the hour. "We have always supported hip-hop and continue to celebrate its global impact." They even name-dropped past winners to cover their tracks. But it was too late. The damage had already hit. Insiders claimed Jay-Z and Beyonce were visibly stunned after the segment aired. Jay, a man who once boycotted the Grammys in protest, now found himself at the center of the storm. And Beyonce, known for staying poised no matter what? She reportedly didn't say a word, not because she didn't have something to say, but because sometimes silence speaks louder than any mic drop. But the real shocker isn't how Jay or Beyonce reacted. It's what happens next. Because now, the industry's wide awake. The entire music world just watched two giants grab the mic and tear down the walls. Live, raw, and unfiltered. No more whispers, no more excuses. So here's the question that matters now. Will the game finally change? Or will they just build a new system to keep it just as rigged, with a fresh coat of paint? Either way, nothing will ever be the same after that night. So, what do you think? Was this the truth the industry needed to hear? Or did they go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like if you're riding with real ones, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to New Viral Drama for more straight-up heat. No filters, no fluff. We've got way more coming. See you on the next video.